The Rise and Fall of Billy Carson, a cautionary tale. Billy Carson had always been a polarizing figure. To his admirers, he was a visionary, a self-made man who spoke truths others were too afraid to confront. To his critics, he was an opportunist who thrived on controversy. But no one could have predicted the dramatic public unraveling that took place during a 3.5-hour live stream, meant to repair his reputation after a widely criticized debate performance. Instead of restoring his image, the broadcast became a spectacular implosion that revealed the cracks in Carson's carefully curated persona. The debate in question, a showdown against Wesley Huff, had left Carson bruised. His claims about Christianity and history were met with sharp rebuttals, and his arguments faltered under scrutiny. Yet rather than owning his mistakes, Carson chose to shift the narrative, blaming everything from illness to sabotage. The live stream was his opportunity to set the record straight. It quickly became clear, however, that Carson's version of setting the record straight involved blame shifting, self-praise, and open disdain for those who questioned him. The live stream, a turning point. Carson opened the stream by addressing his debate performance, immediately going on the offensive. He announced lawsuits against his debate opponent, the podcast host, and even the video editor, claiming that the entire event had been a setup to humiliate him. Fans who tuned in hoping for humility or introspection were instead met with a barrage of excuses. Comments flooded the live chat, with fans voicing their disappointment. "I had to unsubscribe," one wrote. "If you can't admit defeat, you can't grow." Another chimed in, "Billy, I really wanted to see you win, but you're fighting against your own message." The audience's frustration deepened as Carson began boasting about his wealth. He described his life of luxury private jets, sprawling mansions, and personal chefs, while dismissing those who worked regular jobs as ignorant poor people. This alienated a significant portion of his fan base, many of whom identified as everyday workers. "Most of your fans are poor people," one commenter noted. "The poor people are the ones who made you powerful." Yet Carson seemed oblivious to the growing discontent. His tone-deaf remarks about 9 to -5 worker bees and dummies who didn't understand his brilliance only fueled the backlash. Legal tactics and contradictions. Carson's live stream wasn't just about defending his debate performance. It was also a declaration of war against his critics. He openly admitted to filing lawsuits designed not to win, but to financially drain his opponents. "I don't care if I win or lose," he said. "I just want you to spend money." These statements, which some labeled as admissions of SLAPP, strategic lawsuits against public participation tactics, exposed Carson to further legal and reputational risks. Ironically, these tactics contradicted Carson's own criticism of institutions like the church, which he accused of suppressing information. "The church obfuscates and suppresses the truth," he claimed, yet his lawsuits aim to do precisely that by silencing dissent. Excuses and explanations. When Carson finally addressed his debate performance, his explanations raised more questions than they answered. He claimed he had been gravely ill with pneumonia, showing a bandage on his arm as proof of recent hospitalization. While illness might explain some mistakes, it did not account for the repeated inaccuracies in his statements, many of which predated the debate by months. Carson also alleged that the debate was an ambush, despite admitting during the live stream that he had willingly participated. "Mark said, 'We're going to have a little debate,' and I said, 'Okay, whatever,'" Carson recounted. This admission undermined his claim that he had been tricked or blindsided. In another twist, Carson suggested that his internet connection had been sabotaged to prevent him from speaking effectively. Yet the unedited debate footage showed no such manipulation. Critics accused Carson of fabricating excuses to avoid admitting he had been outmatched, alienating his audience. As the live stream progressed, Carson's attacks became more personal. He called the God of the Bible a sadistic narcissist and mocked biblical figures like Abraham, labeling them as ignorant. He accused Christians of being drones and NPCs, non-playable characters, incapable of independent thought. "You've been manipulated to the point where you don't even know who you are," Carson said, his tone dripping with contempt. While his words might have resonated with his most ardent supporters, they alienated the broader audience, many of whom were Christian or sympathetic to religious beliefs. The cult of Billy Carson. Amid the criticism, Carson doubled down on self-praise, painting himself as a misunderstood genius surrounded by conspiracies. He described himself as untouchable and claimed to have connections with billionaires, politicians, and government agencies. His bravado reached theatrical levels as he declared, "I touch a percentage of the planet every day. Me. One man." Yet this bravado came across as insecurity to many viewers. The more Carson boasted, the more he seemed to reveal a man desperate to salvage his image. A lesson in hubris. By the end of the live stream, it was clear that Carson's attempts to defend himself had only deepened his troubles. Fans who had once admired him were now questioning his credibility. Critics labeled him as out of touch, vindictive, and incapable of self-reflection. For Carson, the live stream was a pivotal moment, an opportunity to learn from his mistakes and rebuild trust with his audience. Instead, it became a cautionary tale about the dangers of ego and the importance of humility. As the dust settled, one question remained. Would Carson take this opportunity to grow, or would he continue down a path of self-destruction? Only time would tell.